Captain's Log, Episode 27. This week's episode of the Beer Vengers podcast is sponsored by Astoria Beer and Cheese Ditmars. Located at 35-11 Ditmars Boulevard in Astoria, Queens, enjoy the eclectic array of craft beer, artisanal cheeses, and specialty grocery items at Astoria Beer and Cheese Ditmars, home bar to yours truly, Captain Porter Brown Stout. On this week's installment, Captain Huck and Beer Wonder welcome back Belgian Blonde, with a total of 5 pours from 6 breweries, and we explore where passion for conservation, sustainability, and great beer intersect. You'll be happy to learn that there's a significant amount of common ground. Also, does anyone out there know what the acronym OFYMD stands for? We've got a pretty good theory, which you'll hear on the show, but we're insatiably curious to find out if there are alternate interpretations. Remember to like, star, and subscribe us whenever that feels appropriate. And send us your emails at thebeervengers@gmail.com if you have any questions, suggestions, or if you just like hearing us talk about you on the show. And now, without further ado, please enjoy episode 27, What's Belgian, Blonde, and Green All Over.
We're the beer Vengers, beer Vengers, beer Vengers. We're the Beer Vengers.
Welcome to the Beercast, everyone. Coming to you from an undisclosed location in Astoria, Queens. I am Captain Porter Brown Stout.
And coming to you from an undisclosed location on the west side of Manhattan town, this is the Pale Male Hophead Huck.
And coming to you from an undisclosed location in the county of Kings, it is I, the Beer Wonder!
And coming to you from an undisclosed location in the Bronx, I am the Belgian Blonde.
And we are...
The Beer Vengers!
Hey, pretty good.
That really was. Despite our better efforts, we sounded really good that time, I think.
And that's neat. We're representing all 4 boroughs.
Yes, all 4 that count. No, we love you, Staten Island.
Ouch! I feel like
it's.
Hey, what'd you say? What'd you just say to me?
Yeah, that's exactly why we're staying away from Staten Island, because of that kind of voice.
No comment on that.
I feel like I need to get a Staten Island beer for next week.
We love your beer.
So have to make that
to us, and we all have friends in Staten Island, but man, that borough has way too high infection rates for me to want to go anywhere near it anytime soon.
We kid Richmond County. We kid them.
Yes. Because many of them are awful, but we like the other ones. Yeah, that's right. We are the Beer Vengers. Welcome, fellow Beer Vengers out there, in here, out there, all around the world, as they say, on all the ships at sea. Little Walter Winchell thrown in there. We are the Beer Vengers. We had a great show, and you may have noticed we are having a guest you are probably familiar with if you've been listening from the beginning. And if you haven't, you should go back and listen to our first episode. Welcome, Belgian Blonde.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be here again.
Well, happy to have you here. We've got a lot of great new beers to talk about, various things that happen to our week in and outside of beer, perhaps. Who knows? Well, I mean, I know some of it, but we don't really talk much before. We don't really talk except when we're on the air.
Just follow the script, Captain, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. I know. Yeah, Huck's getting a little impatient, and he has every right to be, because before we talk about really anything else, we should get to the pours, right? That's what you're chomping at the bit for, isn't it?
Yeah, you know.
I know.
Yeah.
And Huck,
Let's get to it.
I can see you're ready to go, but I'm just going to swoop in preemptively.
What are you talking about?
I know. Trust me, I got one I'm excited about too, but we do have the Belgian Blonde back for round 2. It's only right. It's only polite.
Well, yeah.
Thank you very much.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, me
well,
too.
Good. See, we're learning. This is a friendship and learning experience.
Politeness isn't only for our guests, Beer Wonder. Come on, seriously.
Well, it's what I was hoping for, so we're all on the same page.
Excellent.
Good.
What do you have for us today?
All right. So I have the Alexa, which is a double IPA out of Oyster Bay Brewing Company.
Uh-huh.
Hey.
And I chose this beer because I love the name Alexa, because it reminds me of the Billy Joel song that sings about my favorite island, which is Block Island.
That's right.
And it says that it's a big hop bomb, complex in both aroma and flavor, with notes of tangerine and tropical fruit, made with Citra, Mosaic, Ella, and Cascade hops.
Oh, well, okay.
Yummy. Oh my goodness. And whales on the outside. Did I see whales on your can?
There's a whale.
Nice crack.
Yeah, the Oyster Bay logo has Oyster Bay logo has a whale.
All right, hold that up a little higher so we can see. Oh, there is that gold. Oh, it's almost a darker gold than I would have anticipated for some.
Very rich, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's got that West Coast look.
Yeah, most definitely. Oh, and you can see those tiny little bubbles. You're just going to have a nice, intense kind of creamy carbonation, I bet. Oh, that looks just glorious.
What a good pour, too.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Look at that's a big glass.
Yeah.
I was a professional at one point, so.
Yeah. Well,
Very.
There we
Hold
go.
the
Oh,
can
see,
up next to it, if you
There
will.
she is.
exactly.
Alexa.
So beautiful. It really is.
Yeah.
I'm thinking up new lyrics to the song, but we better get to the
I'm
next
just glad my headphones are in so my digital assistant doesn't think we're talking to her.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too.
Oh, goodness.
I didn't even think about that.
No, I didn't either. Well, I got a beer. We were repping the island. We're repping 4 boroughs, and we're repping the island. And now I think we got to rep our neighbors to the west.
Oh,
New Jersey. I was notified that we've only had one New Jersey beer, and it was actually an interborough Brooklyn beer that was a collab with Carton. So
That's right.
I went across the river, got myself a beer. We went to my friends at Alementary.
oh, fun. Yes.
Yeah.
They're
We had
pretty
a lovely
great.
trip out there a couple of years ago.
Yeah, we did it. I actually got it at Wegmans, but it's okay. Alementary. This is called Fractions and Decimals, and it is that rare beast, the Imperial Pilsner.
Ooh. Oh, so
Let's-
what's this one clocking in at then?
It's at 7.7, I believe.
Okay.
Was it? Yeah. So
Very bold
that's
for a
Imperial for a
Pilsner.
Pilsner.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's take a look at this baby. I haven't tried it yet, so I'm excited to give it a drink.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. All right.
Oh my. Oh, it is a little darker, I think, than I would imagine. No, actually, maybe not. It may be kind of have that straw gold that you look for in a Pilsner.
It looks deceptively hello, I'm just a Pilsner. But I'm Imperial.
Yes.
Look at that.
And
It's a
beautiful.
nice
I mean,
pour, too.
Huck, ace pour, but also the head on that is exactly what you want in the Pilsner. That big fluffy
Nice,
thing
yeah.
up top. That's beautiful.
There we
Very
go.
good.
Fractions and decimals. Alementary. Very good.
Well, I want to see what you have for us today, Beer Wander.
Well, here's the thing. I was thinking how lovely it is, and I am this week coming to it's so lucky that we've got people who like to give us beer to talk about on the podcast. So today I am excited to be repping a.
Sponsored pour.
I know that. That's from Minnesota.
It is from Minnesota, exactly. An interesting week to be drinking a beer from Minnesota, given what's happening. But this is our Fair State Co-op Party Forward IPA, which I am excited about. It is a 6%er, so it's kind of a bold one, but it is an IPA brewed with wheat, oats, and citra hops. They describe it as super fruity, soft, and tropical.
Excellent.
So
Very good.
excited to see how this one turns out.
Yeah, I'd like to see it. Nice
Excellent
crack.
crack. Yep. All right. And in we go. Definite haze factor.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Pretty juicy and yellowy citrus juice looking, but not quite full on juice bomb.
Nice
not
pour.
No, thank you. Not quite what I would have expected from a sloop or something along those lines, something that's literally looks like orange juice, but
Right.
the citrus flavors are already coming straight off the top. So
Fair
it's gonna be
State.
good.
And that came from that was one of our sponsored pours. Yeah.
Exactly,
That's
from our
right.
dear friends at Astoria Beer and Cheese, Ditmars.
35-11 Ditmars in Astoria,
There we go.
Queens.
There we go. Cut it in.
All
We
right.
got the-
For those of you who can't see what we're seeing, the Belgian blonde just had a furry beer drinker come straight across their camera. Very exciting.
Yes. Even
Yes,
more
that was
furry than me.
Magpie.
Cats love keyboards. Yeah.
Magpie is also from the Bronx.
Oh, there you go.
Well, interestingly enough, I also have a Minnesota beer.
Oh.
Hello.
This is one. It has a little bit to do with the fact that this is one that Huck has been asking me about a lot. Also, though, Belgian Blonde, the last time you were here, we spent a lot of time talking about coffee. So I have from Surly Brewing in Minnesota.
Right.
It is the Brown Ale Coffee Bender.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, that just
And
appeals to me for sure.
That is
yeah.
a brown ale with coffee added. I think it's about
Incredible.
a 5.5% of there. Yeah, but let's get it open.
Does it say how much caffeine? Something like that?
You know, I don't know if it does. I don't know what
If
the
any.
current rules are on that.
But that one pours so dark. Oh, it's almost like a chocolatey color.
I think the caffeine in beer and coffee beers is negligible. Although I know
Yeah.
people that do get affected by it.
Mhm.
That's a good looking brown.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really
that-
beautiful color.
You could see the brown color. It doesn't look like a stout. It looks like a brown ale. Yeah, a nice
Mhm.
golden head there.
Oh, it's got a lovely coffee nose too.
Oh, I bet it
Mm.
does.
All right, everyone, raise a glass. Excellent. Put that in front of your.
Yeah, sorry. There we go.
Yes, BBL, hide your identity there. Yeah, there we go. All right.
Cheers.
Sláinte, cheers, etc.
Cheers, everyone.
Salud.
Cheers.
Oh, that's really nice.
Oh yeah, tell us more.
It's-
Unless you want more time, take some more time.
No. It's the thing is it's very much a brown and very much a coffee brown. At some point, it almost the tastes together almost. I may be misidentifying this, but it's almost like a brown sugar kind of a thing.
Oh, okay.
It's got a nice. I would say it's a medium plus bodied, meaning it's not like a big thick imperial kind of a thing, but it also is. It's not shy.
Mm.
Okay, all right. Well, I'd put that same thing behind this Imperial Pilsner. You can it tastes like a Pilsner, easy drinking, but it does have a little more bite on the finish.
Yeah,
a little more tingling bitterness on the finish, and it's just you can tell it's just a little stronger. But it's nice. Got a nice drinking beer. Very hearty.
I'm loving the tangerine in my Alexa. It's one of my favorite fruits, and I taste it when I sip it, but also afterwards it lingers for a little bit. So I'm enjoying it.
And I am in love with this beer.
Oh boy,
I am very much. Oh my goodness, it's I definitely get the wheat adjunct. So there's like a crackeriness, lightness, wheatiness to it that's just beautiful. But it's super fruity. The Citra is like very much on the nose. It's got that like sweet, juicy thing, and it's at 6%. It's going down way too easy. I'm nervous about what's going to happen. I could drink this like water. This is like a delicious summertime beer, helping us get into those future summer months. I'll have another, please.
They're coming soon.
Holy
hopefully.
smokes! This is tell me the name of it again. I know it's Fair State. It's
Party Forward IPA. It's a hazy
Party
boy,
Forward.
and it's it's one of their year-round beers. I checked in. It's but the lightness of it. It's so light, and I think that has to do with the wheat adjunct that's a part of it.
Yeah.
Because it just goes down so easy. And the oats too kind of give it a little bit of that base note, but like the wheat really makes it light and very happy.
Wow, this is
very happy beer wonder.
Beer Wonder is found. What is it? It's found your beer. Wow, this is and yeah, luckily it is a year round. You can find it again.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about this one when Rick White was on, but it bears mentioning again. Fair State is an employee-owned co-op.
Yeah,
That's right.
They're a really interesting and cool group, as I sort of got a chance to dig into them this week a little bit more. Not only are they employee owned and do they really take care of their folks, but also a large percentage goes to different causes. And so each year they specify sort of 3 causes throughout the year that they're focused on. And this year, a major cause, of course, has been racial justice and social justice and many of the things that the state of Minnesota has been directly dealing with, as has the rest of the country. But one of the other areas where they've really taken a strong stance this year is climate and climate change and ways that we can be a little bit more sustainable in our process, but directing that back to the idea of where climate can connect up with justice. So the idea of climate justice. And it was cool to see them making that a financial contribution that the brewery is doing and using beer to support those causes, as we've seen a lot of other breweries do recently.
And the name is a play on the Minnesota State Fair, I believe.
Yes.
That's one of those things. Like I've had a couple of these lately where just tonight they had a Jeopardy question, and I knew the answer. How long is a fortnight? And it's 14 days. It's 2 weeks. But I always thought it was at 2 weeks, and it's called fortnight. 14 days. I just got that today.
I don't think I ever got that before.
I think when I was watching Jeopardy tonight, I stumbled over the fact that I forget all the time how many years a score is. Just 20 years, right?
20 years, yeah.
Yeah, 20 years.
Yeah, so where's the connection?
Oh, the clue was
score and 20.
The clue was this a villain from a movie with 5 score plus 1 in the title. It was 101 Dalmatians.
Oh.
I wasn't very good on the question.
Who is hosting right now?
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, we shouldn't give him any.
Okay. I knew it wasn't Jennings. He's done for the moment, I think. Yes.
It's Doctor somebody, a famous TV show.
Oh, it's that one.
It's,
okay,
it's not Dr. Phil.
Okay.
We're just trying to get through them. I have a backlog, so I'm trying to burn through them.
He has. It's weird being that he is puts himself forward as a doctor because he seems like a jock in a suit.
Yeah.
Oh, that
he has that kind of energy with him. Yeah.
That makes me. I'm gonna have to skip a couple weeks then. I think
It's fun to kind of hate watch him a little bit, but
yeah,
I enjoyed it.
Well, you say the Minnesota State Fair, Huck, and as someone who grew up in the state of Minnesota, the Minnesota State Fair they call it the Great Minnesota Get Together, and it truly is sort of an event that people go to. I mean, from all around the state and even within the cities where I grew up in the suburban areas as well, people sort of come in for this specific, very like come together, eat corn dogs, drink milk out of a giant tanker, go on the midway, play games, all that stuff. I grew up going every single year, and I still know Minnesota expats who will go back to the Twin Cities during the state fair, which is the 10 days preceding Labor Day, to attend. It's that big of a thing. So it is representative of a lot of like Minnesota culture.
And they deep fry. There's like you got to deep fry everything.
Literally everything. I've had. I mean, they were the first ones to do Twinkies, I think.
Yeah.
But then Oreos,
Pickles,
alligator, ice cream.
I've heard they will actually do a deep fried stick of butter.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I remember the year that came out. It was good.
And I don't know if this is. I don't know if this is specific. If there's any of these that are specific to Minnesota, because I figure this is just like it's a part of state fair culture.
I think Minnesota. I mean, I don't mean
to pioneer it. You think?
Well, I mean, when things started getting deep fried, I think we may have been an early attempt at some of the weird stuff, because you can get away with a lot of the Minnesota State Fair in that realm. I wouldn't be surprised if other states were helping us with that.
Well, if we're going to get a letter from someone from Iowa saying, "No,
exactly.
Iowa State Fair."
I mean, here's the thing: the New York State Fair, I have been. It is not the same.
Yeah. Well, I think most people understand, state fair people understand that Minnesota is like the apex.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
I mean, like going to my undergrad in Colorado, their state fair too was like nothing I'd ever seen before. I mean, you get out west and they're just a whole different ballgame.
Get big, yeah. Now, don't they have a cow sculpture made out of butter, like a full size cow?
Cows. The I think it's something K of the Milky Way is the like queen of the fair, or the winner of the fair, and you get, I think, some scholarship money, but you also get your head sculpted out of butter, and then you get to take it home with you.
What are you gonna do with all that butter?
I'm sure we could figure something out, but
days.
There were always thought pieces in the newspaper about like how to preserve butter for long periods of time around the state fair, probably to help out these poor people who now had their heads sculpted in butter, or some cow that won and now is going home full sized with like itself in butter.
There's a great Bizarre Foods about it. Andrew Zimmern, who spent a lot of time in Minnesota. He's a New York guy, but he's also a Minnesota guy, and he did a whole episode.
He lives there
at the state fair. Yeah, he lives there now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really good episode. And they talk about the cookies too. There's like some special cookies.
Oh yeah, Sweet Martha's.
Chocolate chip cookies. Sweet Martha's, is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Tom Thumb Donuts. As much as you can drink milk out of the tanker.
Man,
we should go when it reopens. Apparently for COVID safety, because my family still lives in the great state of Minnesota. And they did a drive-through of all the food booths.
Oh,
so you would drive up and then you would go through, and all the food booth that I think it was either tickets or something, but they didn't want you exchanging cash kind of thing. And so you would just drive through and all your favorites were there, and they would like hand you whatever it was that they would have served you on site. So the corn and all the stuff was there.
Right.
My folks said they had a really good time. So
Yeah, I feel I've
Well,
been
that's
to
good.
like one or two of those in my life. David Foster Wallace, I think, had a really good piece on experiencing a state fair.
Kettle corn. I'd never had kettle corn until I went to one. I was like, oh my God, this is so good.
I mean,
Fun,
corn
fun.
dogs, I feel, are associated with state fairs.
Mm.
May not be the only place where I've had them, but it might have been a state fair where I had that for the first time. But,
That or is a beach side, I feel like, is the other place I think of.
For
Like if
corn
you go down
dogs?
to
Yeah.
go down to the seaside and you can get them there. I'm sorry, Captain, you were going to talk about
Oh,
your
I was
beer.
going to say, I will admit, I don't know much about Surly Brewing. That's one thing I did not go and do a lot of research on this, aside from that they're also from Minnesota. This is one that I ordered from Tap Room. We've talked about them
Right.
before. Now, early in all the proceedings, Belgian Blonde, you were one of the early proponents of Drizzly,
Yeah.
the liquor delivery
The alcohol
service.
delivery, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that there's some cross pollination between the groups if they're not outright owned by the same people. Because sometimes when I see stuff on Tap Room, they say some of this is also offered on Drizzly.
Oh, interesting.
Tap Room is just beer. And they have some really interesting stuff. Some of the stuff is stuff I can find locally, so I don't get it from them. But that's why I specifically get stuff from like, I think I got one from Virginia and one from, and this one from Minnesota. I think there was something I got from North Carolina as well. So a lot of really good stuff on there.
Oh,
Nice. Yeah, I used Drizzly a lot, especially at the beginning of the pandemic when I, didn't want to leave my apartment except to walk my dogs. And now it's so great. I mean, Ethan really, or the Beer Wonder really turned me on to all these breweries that are delivering
yeah.
your door, which has been awesome. And for gifts and for all these different things, I've been using that a lot too.
That's great. Did you see Belgian Blonde that our friends at New York City Brewers Guild put out another box for New York City Beer Week?
I did not. They were sold out the last time I checked. So
I know they've been going so fast.
Nice.
But I'm excited that that's become a part of what I hope sticks around in beer culture after we're all out and about doing stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely.
Yeah, I don't know what I mean, if we do go back to like going out again, do I not have to collect as many cans in my fridge?
I think that I probably, I don't know. Well, that's
Because I like to drink at breweries and bars, or used to anyway.
Yeah,
Drinking draft beer.
I think I will probably have less of that on hand at home.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll probably still be stocking the cellar for when we can all hang out here for that.
Then again, that's right. Yeah, so we can have parties.
Well, I was going to say, as it stands now, the way that people seem to be congregating, of course, is like vaccinated people in a home together, which means that cans are a necessity.
And also, I feel like whenever I travel to a brewery, like if I go up to Hudson Valley or somewhere, I'm not going to leave empty-handed. I'm going to bring home something that buy.
That is very true.
One thing I'm looking forward to doing more of that, like less cans and more growlers. Once that is back in a big way, because we talk a lot about the whole reduce, reuse, recycle. We've kind of moved away from reuse this last year, or just not moved away from it, but we definitely put a lot of what we used to do with the reuse thing on pause.
Well, we've been forced away from it.
Yeah,
that's true. We out of necessity.
Yeah.
But I remember a couple of years back when I took I was with Belgian Babe at taking our tour of the Stouts Brewery, and Ed Stout being a little sort of he was saying reduce and reuse were the most important things of that triad. And I remember after that really thinking when I got back, there were a lot more places in my neighborhood where I could get growlers, and I sort of would always put a premium on. Yes, I will get something that if I can only get in a can but I'll get growlers to fill whatever I have in my refrigerator.
Well, it sounds like a lot of breweries are reusing in a lot of ways, kind of contributing to the circular economy model, reusing a lot of their waste products to make some really cool things.
And that seems like a very good segue to you had that is something that you wanted to talk about this week, isn't it, Belgian Blonde?
I did. Well, I was inspired last time when we were talking about bird-friendly coffee and thinking about
and before we fully get into that topic, I want to thank you for that, because I ordered a 5-pound bag from Birds and Beans.
Oh,
and I'm
awesome.
still working my way through a Scarlet Tanager dark roast. It's and one of the if anyone orders from Birds and Beans, I would say go for subscription because you don't have to commit. Because
Yeah.
not that you should not order from them again, but the thing is, if you say, "Oh, send me a 5-pound bag every 12 weeks," in 5 weeks or in 10 weeks, you can say, "Nah, cancel that for now." So even if you just want to order something different, you have to do that. But the reason you should do that is because shipping is only $5 if you're a subscriber, as opposed to just $10 if you order.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Yeah, I've a lot of people have said I love Birds and Beans. This blend. Some people really like the early bird blend on Amazon, which is free shipping too if you're a Prime member. There's a lot of different, and I think it's becoming more popular. So hopefully, there's a lot more
I
options.
ordered this one directly from the Birds and Beans website.
Oh, great! Yeah, Birds and Beans is great. They're wonderful, absolutely, and hopefully, and breweries could use it in their coffee stouts, maybe.
Yeah, they absolutely should. Do you know where they're based?
Birds and Beans.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's Massachusetts.
Yeah, I think they're Boston, if I'm not mistaken.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they definitely have a New York connection because I believe the owner's daughter lives on Staten Island, actually.
Okay.
Oh,
So she's one of the good ones. Is what
so
you're saying.
we need to get an apology beer for next week. Then
She's one of the
Good boroughs.
I make no apologies. There's too many shitty people on Staten Island for me to make apologies, but there are plenty of wonderful people.
Well,
and we
clearly
love
there's some good ones too.
they do have a few good breweries as well.
Yes.
I will point that out.
Captain has spent some time out there.
And
so,
I would say
give him credit.
all of the good ones that I'm speaking of in Staten Island would agree with me that there's a lot of shitty people there.
Oh man.
I've been to many libraries in Staten Island myself.
Yes, very much so.
No explanation there. Just that I've done it.
But anyways, Detroit. So what you were saying before Belgian Blonde about?
Please.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's been so cool hearing stories of different breweries around the country that are doing more sustainable things. Ethan was talking before about climate change. It's such a hot topic right now, which is amazing because it wasn't talked about very much before. I've had a lot of youth applying for my programs. They're like, and I've asked them what's an issue they care about. And they're like, climate change. They've never said that before. And so I was really interested to see what some of the breweries around the country were doing that was sustainable, that was green, that was helping to combat the climate crisis or to contribute to a circular economy and not have so much waste. And I, as you know, I went to my undergraduate in Colorado, so I love my Colorado breweries. And I came across an article about Upslope Brewing, which is based in Boulder. And they're teaming up with local startups, with ink companies and an algae company, and they're taking their waste, their CO2, their spent grain, their rinse water, and they're making 100% biodegradable ink with all of their waste.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's really cool. And then they're using that ink to print their menus in their brewery. a full circle. And I was like, this is really cool. I mean, people could use bird-friendly coffee. They can do these like crazy things with their waste, and it was just awesome because we know so many of them are small businesses and they really care about this stuff. And I think we'll find tons of stories like that.
Yeah,
I hope so. Yeah.
Well, one thing I remember, Belgian Blonde, when you and I were working together over the summer, one of the things you did a session for a group that I was connected to, and one of the things you talked about was sort of like the necessities of what human interactions with the planet. And one of the things you mentioned is that the alcohol industry is technically superfluous, right? I mean, we technically don't need to be drinking beer, technically, but beer.
Did I say that?
You were talking about like, what are things that are connected to climate change and like ways that humans impact the earth. And one of the things is that, yeah, technically, like, I don't need to be drinking a beer right now. But one of the things I think that it got me thinking about is, okay, well, knowing that this is a pleasure for so many of us and something that we enjoy, like, what are ways that the brewing industry could be really conscious of that? And I feel like our mass brewers have maybe not been as conscious of that at times, but the way that a lot of small breweries are rooted in community, a lot of them have tried to sort of put forward a little bit of an interest in connecting to that. And so you got me looking at a couple of the breweries we got here in New York, and it got me on a bit of a rabbit hole down the spent grain misadventure. Now, you said they were making their ink out of spent grain?
Yeah, well, they're
It's
growing
amazing.
algae, which
Algae.
is the base of their the final product is the ink. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, well, spent grain is a huge issue in brewing because when you brew beer, right, we take all this grain and we mash it up and then we start throwing hot water into it. We just boil it and boil it and boil it. And then it moves into or we mash it up and then we boil it. But between the mashing and the boiling process, the grain is done. There's nothing done. And the sole purpose of that is to just boil it and get sugars out of it.
Right.
So you've got these husks of really useful stuff that's left over. And it's truly a really wasteful thing to take all of the sugar out of the grains and just chuck it away. And so it is approximately like 85% of a brewery's waste. And I found out that about 42 million tons of spent grain are produced worldwide from the brewing industry. So there's a lot of potential there. And historically, it was just used as animal feed. So like you go all the way back, pigs would eat it. It's great. Cows would eat it. That's fine. But many businesses have started to realize that there's actually like good stuff in there. And so because there is still nutritional value, the only thing that's missing is the sugars. And a lot of people have probably heard of Regrained, which is a group that makes like power bars and snack bars out of spent grain, and that's fantastic. But I wanted to rep for a group that's doing something similar in the County of Kings, where my location is.
That's Brooklyn.
That is Brooklyn. Yes.
It is
Thank you.
Brooklyn, yes.
Thank you. So there's a really cool local group that I've actually had a chance to interact with called Rise Projects, created by a woman named Bertha Jimenez, who is an Ecuadorian immigrant who worked her way up to a PhD from NYU and was interested in sustainability and what we could do food-wise. And she actually realized that as beer was becoming a thing in New York City, she was like, there's an opportunity there. So she went to our buddies at Greenpoint, which I noticed we actually haven't had a beer from. So we should put them on the list.
Really? All right.
I know.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
They're on our must-to-do list.
Yeah, and she realized that the problem was grain, and so they would take the spent grain, grind it up, and they've been using it as flour in order to make bread. So they started selling it to different restaurants here in New York, but it's actually become kind of an international thing, and it creates sort of a nutty quality. It's kind of got like a brown rice feel to it. It's also got a third of the carbs, 2 times the protein, and 12 times the fiber. So rock on. And
Awesome.
while they're great, like little local places you can get them, Rise has actually got their own mixes that you can do at home. They were, before the pandemic at least, selling packaged brownies that were exceptional. Like truly wonderful. But if you're homebound today, if you check out their website, you can get all sorts of great like make at home brownies and their own flour that they do there. And groups like KCBC and 6 Point and Threes and Craig and Lantern, all groups that we love, are actually, connected with them. So
Nice.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It's like the most Brooklyn thing ever, right? Sorry?
Everyone's been making bread during the pandemic. I mean, Cider Girl has been baking up a storm. Like, it seems like a great thing for people to know about.
Yeah, bread is back. That's interesting that that segues into what I was looking at.
Oh yeah, no, I'm excited.
I remember a couple of years ago, I was at Whole Foods and they had a maybe you've seen this yourselves, toast ale.
Oh yeah.
And I haven't had it. I didn't buy it, because of my beer snobbery. But now that I look at them, it's actually it started as a British company, and what they did was they noticed there was, and this is ties into what you were saying. There's a lot of waste in bread making. A lot of bread, because a lot of food waste in general is bread, because it goes bad. It's got a short shelf life. So a lot of this bread doesn't get used, and a lot of ends of breads don't get used because you want your sandwich bread to have the slice quality, right? So this guy decided that he would he partnered with a couple of bakeries, and he got all this bread and he made it part of the grain bill.
Oh,
right?
Cool.
So instead of, he made it a third of the grain bill was this processed bread. And so it added, the same kind of quality. You got the sugars in the grains already in the bread. So it was like with 2/3 barley and then 1/3 of reused bread. And they've made this toast ale, and it was very successful in the UK. And you also can go and get their homebrew recipe and do it yourself.
Cool.
and they've saved over 2 million slices of bread
Wow.
since they started. So it's kind of a small thing compared to what the waste that you're talking about with the end of the brewing process. But at the beginning of the brewing process, it's kind of circular, right?
Yeah.
So saving the bread to become beer, and then at the end, take that beer to become bread. So I love that idea, and more companies need to really think this way. But of course, we're not ruled by environmental rules; we're ruled by the dollar and capitalism. So it's hard to get companies to commit to this sort of thing until it's too late. But I like this. Now I saw the toast in Whole Foods, like I said, but it seems like they were brewing here in New York in 2017 with Chelsea Brewing,
Mm-hmm.
and Chelsea's gone under, right? So I think toast is no longer made in the U.S. I don't have definitive evidence of that, but I don't have any evidence that it exists in the U.S., unfortunately. So that's another part of the problem is that we don't invest enough of ourselves into trying to come up with solutions. But hopefully it'll come back again. I know it's in other countries. They've done it in Brazil, and this idea is starting to spread a little more of reusing the grain. So.
And it really does seem like it's the small breweries, these small businesses they're leading the charge here. Fortunately, are the most vulnerable to going out of business.
Right.
But it's so great that they're doing it. Imagine if a large scale brewery took on something like this and started being sustainable or following the circular economy model. How much of an impact that would have. It's so cool to see these small, and it could be anything. It could be the food they're serving in the brewery, everything. There's so many opportunities to be sustainable. And I've been to some breweries with amazing, like farm to table, all these ways they've been sustainable. It's so impressive.
And that I think goes right into something that I was reading about is that one of the reasons there's been such an explosion in New York over the last less than decade is because of the farm brewery law. Okay, so I can see that Beer Wonder knows about this, and Huck, you're familiar with it a little bit as well.
A little bit, but not enough.
But tell the people at home.
So yes, but I'm because I did some research into it, and this was enacted in 2012, end of 2012, starting in 2013. Now, Huck, you mentioned something a while back about that said, didn't you say like something like 90% of hops were made in the Pacific Northwest?
Right.
When was that number? I mean, do you know where those figures came from? What year
I don't know.
I'll tell you why, and I'll tell you why I'm asking.
Please.
It's because apparently 90% of them came from New York State in the mid 1800s.
Aha.
Then once Prohibition hit, and then there was also some kind of weird fungus thing that happened, and that by the time all that was over, New York was just not even into that anymore. So it all started up in the Northeast. So in 2012, partly inspired by a similar law that happened for wineries in the 70s, who'd think you'd hear something good about Cuomo right now?
They just passed they signed the marijuana legalization. So,
but right when he started, they passed the farm brewery law. And what that said is that anyone in New York, any New York brewery, if they're willing to use at least 20% local product, you're a farm brewery. Okay. And one of the incentives for that was that being able to serve beer by the glass in your brewery was that's just it comes with the license, so that you don't have to go through every. So when you're doing that, the reason it was only 20% was because hops had gone so out of fashion, so they needed a groundswell of time to create a bigger demand. So a whole lot of breweries, from what I've read, and this is I drove myself crazy trying to find a specific number and a specific list. I couldn't. But there's about 400 breweries in New York State, and it's estimated that about half of them operate under the farm brewery law.
That's good.
And when I should say the reason I mentioned that thing about that 20% number is because that's not fixed. That's what it was for the first 5 years. And then it jumped up. I think it's at about 60% now.
Wow.
And by 2024 to have a farm brewery license, you have to it's going to be 90%.
Oh,
So
wow.
the
That's
idea is
incredible.
that
That's awesome.
by
Yeah.
moving it up and up, then people will have plenty of time to grow more hops, so breweries can get that, and not just hops, but it's many other things. What's interesting is because when you hear the term farm brewery, you think about a brewery that's on a farm, like we were talking about with Blackberry Farms in Tennessee. But this is specifically breweries, many in urban centers, which are working with local farms. Um,
We'll
and
talk about climate.
Big Alice is one, I believe.
Big Alice is the one that I want to focus on right now.
There you go.
Because I was that was the one I reached out to some of our social media followers, and they mentioned that, and I looked into it, and I found this great article from last November that specified. You guys were talking a lot about the various breweries that were the way they were working with other local people. So Big Alice not only worked with local farms, but there's native roasters is a great one. Which it's amazing because you can't actually, they don't have a physical location that you can go to. You can only get their stuff delivered. I guess they work with a lot of merchants supplying their stuff. Also, the Wilk Apiary, where they get their honey from there.
Oh, cool.
And in fact, the guy who owns the place he's himself donned one of those suits to go in and help get honey to put in their beer. And the one that this is not really part of the topic, but I just want to say it because I think it's interesting. The reason Big Alice is called Big Alice is because it's near the Ravenswood power plant. And that was known as Big Alice, spelled Big Allis. They would just refer to it as that. They used a different spelling to include Long Island City in the title, and that's why it's called Big Alice.
Right. Yeah.
I did not know that.
And the other one that I thought was fascinating, it's amazing because this is my neighborhood, and I'm reading about businesses I've never even heard of. They've worked with Hellgate Farm to get their jalapeno peppers. They've got the honey at Wilk Apiary, Fix Brothers Fruit Farm in the Hudson Valley. But one that I found, gotta find this now. I think it's called the Phoenix Bakehouse. And what they do is, you were talking about the spent grain. This is a company, another one. They don't have a physical store you can go to, but they're like farmers markets things, or they'll set up a booth in Astoria Park, where they were specifically, they've given some of their spent grains to them to make sourdough bread, and then you can go buy it from them there. And
cool.
There you go.
I never
Nice.
heard. The only way you can actually find
Sounds
out
great.
how to get it is to join their email list, which I did this week. I friended them from the not friended. What do you call followed them on Instagram with our Beer Vengers feed. So I'm hoping to get some of that soon. This was a really fascinating one to me, where we're talking about multiple uses and the closed circle. So there was one instance where Big Alice got some rum barrels from Long Island Spirits to age some of their beer. After that, they passed those barrels on to native coffee roasters to age their coffee beans.
Ooh.
And when the barrels were returned to them, Big Alice used them to age the stout, which then, of course, took on overtones of rum, oak, and coffee. And
That's
then
awesome.
they returned them back to Long Island Spirits, which used them to age bourbon.
Wow.
So it's just all these incredible multiple uses, which I just think is amazing.
So there are things happening out there.
Yeah, I want to try that beer.
Yeah, for sure.
Bourbon. I want to try that bourbon. Sorry.
When you gave us this, I want to try both of them. When you gave us this assignment, Belgian Blonde, I was a little concerned just because there's been so much focus on, rightfully so, on social justice this past year.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about that a lot between the Black is Beautiful beer, the Curtain Up beer, what's the Breathing Conversations? Was that one of them as well?
Finback did, yeah.
Yeah, and all these various things. And breweries are so focused on this one. And that's what a lot of the media is focused on as well. So when I first started trying to look up stories, there's not a lot of media reportage in the last year about things that are focused on environmental issues. So
I'm not sure that's 100% true.
Well, maybe I used the wrong search terms.
Well, no, I think that climate change, especially in the new administration, has gotten a ton more. I mean, for me, it's the first time I've ever seen it become so mainstream and so many people talking about it. And you have Greta Thunberg. I mean, that's been a huge thing. But to Ethan's point, climate change and racial justice are very much intertwined.
Yep.
Even if we look at our own city, the neighborhoods that are affected the most by air pollution and asthma are often neighborhoods are diverse neighborhoods and places that, you know, that need an advocate and to fight for this. So I don't think that they're that unrelated. And we're talking about using
Very related, yeah.
very related. And when we're talking about using local products, I mean, we're so happy they're supporting small farms and more environmental, but you're also talking about not shipping across the world or the world or
smaller
across
carbon footprint. Sure. Yeah.
much smaller carbon footprint. And so everything kind of connects to each other. And so, you know, everybody's supporting everybody, I think.
Yeah, and that's something with craft beer that they do right is everything is local. Sometimes to the point of annoyance. Like I said,
Yes,
it's hard
correct.
for me to get New Jersey beers.
Yeah.
So, but I can definitely get ones in New York, and you know, you don't need to get them from other places, and we should have that with food too. But
and this is one figure I was getting toward. I don't think I did mention. The reason I asked you what the percentages were was because when this bill was passed in 2012 and enacted in 2013, there were approximately 100 acres in New York State dedicated to growing hops. That's
Okay.
quadrupled.
Oh, great.
Oh, wow.
As of the time this article I was looking at was written in 2019, so it might be even higher now. But
That's
as of
excellent
2019, between 2013 and 2019, it went from 100 acres to 400 acres.
Wow.
So that says to me that if you're drinking a hopped beer in New York State that was brewed in New York State, there's a very good chance it has New York hops. And even if the Pacific Northwest has the rest of the country, they're probably still close to 90%. But the chances are very much higher that if you're drinking a local beer in New York, there's New York hops in it.
Yes, I know a lot of hops are coming, not just from the Northwest, but we're getting a lot of European hops because, like, to make a Pilsner, to make the traditional Czech hops.
Right.
We get a lot of those imported, and also with these haze bombs, a lot of that stuff's coming from down under, like down in Australia and New Zealand. We're getting, and they're great hops. I mean, you can't argue with the quality of the hops, but they do travel a long way to get to New York and to Boston and to Michigan and wherever else. Yeah.
But
like if you ever see the word Nelson, those are New Zealand hops.
That's right.
Oh, Nelson.
Oh, Nelson. But luckily, local people are celebrating their local breweries too and giving a huge amount of support. I mean, I turn to you guys like, oh, you know so many breweries across the city. There's so many I haven't even been to yet and want to explore, which is so cool.
One interesting thing is we've expanded our guest range towards people across the country. Local doesn't just mean New York. We're looking at localities everywhere.
Yeah, of course.
So even though our beers tonight came from Minnesota, they're local to them.
Absolutely.
Although I think in Minnesota they're probably shipping in hops from other places. I can't imagine that's a great climate for that.
Probably because they don't have such a great law like this, and maybe it's not very good soil to grow hops in. I don't know.
Yeah.
I had a professor in college, as I told you last time, they started their own brewery and they brewed their own beer, but would take beers from local breweries. But if a big beer company that sometimes claimed to have tapped the Rockies would knock on their door, they would tell them to go away.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you'll excuse me for just a moment, I think I have to take a trip to a special place.
Oh, is that right?
A very special place?
A very special place. It's gotten a lot of influx, so I really need to tend to some of the things there. So I'll be back.
I think I know where
right
he's
a
going.
moment, right after I go to the
going to the captain's cellar, yeah. Come high water or hella, yeah. It's filled with stouts and porters, made with bricks and mortars. Going to the captain's cellar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
that was
right. Oh,
that was a hot one tonight, huh?
You gave me exactly the
timing.
right amount of time for this one. The Captain Cellar has gone through an interesting transition this week because I just got a big shipment in from Tavor, which I've talked about a lot. I've gotten a lot of local beer from all over the country. And you can see pictures of that on our Instagram. And I even did an unboxing video earlier today.
Yeah, check it out, people.
It should where it shows a filter where I look kind of like Hunter S. Thompson in the jungle.
Just need that cigarette holder.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't have one of those with me, but it was actually much more comfortable than wearing that Mardi Gras mask I did the last unboxing video I did. makes it a lot easier to read the manifest of the beers that I'm pulling out of the boxes. And so when I went to take some of the ones out to make room for the new ones, there was one I noticed. It was not everything I have in there is from Tavor. Some are ones I just get because they're special, and I put them there for a while. And one was from my trip last summer to Evil Twin.
Oh,
now we've talked a lot about Evil Twin and their various how to get the beers from there, and
We're fans.
We are big fans. We've also talked about how their delivery fees are too expensive, but we have not also talked about how they will only deliver cans.
Oh,
If you want a bottle, you have to go there. They will do bottles to go. And so when I was there, I got a bottle of the Evil Twin Westbrook collaboration.
No.
OFYMD.
Oh my.
Maple Bourbon Barrel Aged Imperial Maple Stout.
Oh
Beautiful.
my goodness. You're going to open that?
I'm
So
going to open
jealous.
it. And I will also say that it took a while to figure out what that stood for, because they're very coy about it on the website, and you can't find like other places about, oh, well, if you don't know, you should know, or something, some bullshit like that. So I believe that what that stands for is, oh, fuck yeah, my dude.
you're probably not wrong.
Definitely, oh, fuck yeah. I've seen a few other versions of it, but I think the original one is, oh, fuck yeah, my dude. So this is apparently the original oh, fuck yeah, my dude stout was, the deal is it's this has maple and it's aged in bourbon barrels, but the original one is it's like a pina colada stout.
Oh,
we don't hear about many of those. So it's got got like pineapple and coconut, and I will
so jealous. I'd love to taste that.
I will find the
Pina colada stout almost sounds like they're fighting against each other. Like, I can't
like
wait.
a 12%. Also, I realized I can't remember. Westbrook is in South Carolina, right?
I believe so.
So that makes this our first South Carolina beer.
whoa.
But also, it might play into the our trying to up our Connecticut beers too.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, it is 12%. It's 12%, but it also is made at 12%.
So it was brewed in Connecticut.
Probably, yeah.
Pour first, then we'll figure it out.
Well, but
Priorities.
Also, I think also 12% has a presence in Brooklyn too, because this says distributed by 12% in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Oh,
so
okay.
Here we go.
I mean, that's exactly what you want that beer to be. Like motor oil, completely dark. It doesn't. That first one was no head. There is absolutely no head.
There it comes. There it comes.
Oh, there it comes. Okay, just the tiniest bit. It tried real hard. The alcohol really fought it, but it tried, and it made it.
Westbrook is in South Carolina, yeah. Now they're known for the Mexican cake and the and other stouts like that. Yeah.
Okay. The maple is fighting everything else in it.
Really?
Well, I mean, I'm saying the maple and the booziness is like there. It's like I got like just a hint of the pineapple.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'm sure as I drink more of it, the more flavors will express themselves.
You got to let it warm.
Yeah.
I feel like maple must be a hard thing to brew with because it really just wants to take over everything that it touches.
It's like cooking with it, right? Like same thing.
But I think bourbon is a good match for it.
Yes, agreed.
It keeps the maple from dominating too much because that's. Oh yeah, that's there too.
Oh fuck yeah, my dude.
Oh fuck yeah, my dude.
This has gotten wildly romantic.
That's great. I'm glad you picked that one up. I remember seeing that and I was like, "Ooh, I want to get that too."
I think they still have some of them. Last I checked, but
Yeah,
like I said, you have to go there to get it.
Yeah.
Do they deliver?
Well, that's what I'm saying. They deliver, but they don't deliver bottles.
Yeah.
Oh,
They've been. I've gotten a couple shipments from ET NYC, and yeah, they've been really great.
Yeah, I've considered it. I was just saying. Unfortunately, they go through UPS, and they basically got an $18 flat rate for everything.
Yeah.
And when Taproom has such great deals, where if you order a certain amount, it's basically free. This Tavor crate I got in today was 40 plus cans and bottles altogether. But because they have that policy, it was $15 for the whole of them. That's from beers from all over the country. It's hard to justify an $18 fee for one place.
That's a good point, though. That's a whole nother way that breweries are being sustainable, right? Because they only use glass or cans. I don't know if you watched John Oliver, like, was it 2
Well, the
weeks ago?
plastic thing they did, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right? Just saying, like, we don't even recycle most of the plastic. Like, it's the big oil company scam, right? That we recycle all this plastic, but using aluminum and glass is much more sustainable.
Well, and he also made the larger point that a lot of it isn't our fault.
Yeah.
Because it's hard sometimes to tell which plastics we can and can't put in the bin.
Oh, the recycling's not our fault. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, they talked about the whole wish cycling thing where, people put
I
umbrellas
totally
in
wish
there.
Yeah, totally.
But I know for sure there are things I put in my recycling that I'm like, I think this fits into it. But, I didn't realize like all those like those like plastic salad containers aren't, they're not recyclable.
And all the takeout during COVID, I'm like, oh,
There's so much.
so much. I look for the 1 and the 2 now, and I'm really trying to not buy it in the first place or order. You can take your Tupperware to a restaurant and be like, hey, can you put this in there? And
with me, it's at the grocery store. I get those 5-ounce salads all the time because I live alone, and if I get much more than that, it's not going to last.
Yeah.
We're really hooked into etiquette, so it's like bringing your Tupperware to the restaurant. What?
What?
You have to put it in this plastic container, wrap it in tin foil, and put it into a paper bag that goes inside a plastic bag. How dare you? And here's some more napkins and plastic silverware.
Well, yeah,
that you're going to need at home because you don't have silverware at home.
That honestly, that's a thing that I have to keep reminding myself. Don't put no plastic forks for me. I have silverware. I'm eating it at home.
Right.
And they never ask. A lot of places never ask. Like I have some great taco trucks in my neighborhood, but they never ask me if I want the plastic fork. And I almost always forget to say, just no, don't give me that.
Yeah. So we've got a long way to go.
Someone said Seamless has like a box now you can check, like, please don't give me utensils or.
Yes. Unfortunately, that means you're ordering from Seamless, which is horrible.
Right. Which I also have been trying not to do.
Yeah.
Although there is another group here in at least New York City that is doing returnable ware. I've heard them advertising on our Fair Public radio station and a couple other places where you can order through them just like you would any of the other apps, but they give you a reusable dish, and then either you give it to the next delivery person or you bring it back to the location. And if you don't, of course they charge you for it, but
and also we're seeing a few apps come up that will they're much more kinder to the small businesses,
right?
As far as where they're not gouging them. Seamless, that's my main problem with Seamless is I think third-party things could be fine, but clearly Seamless and Grubhub and Delivery.com are all just, and probably Uber Eats are just they're way taking advantage of the situation. Yeah. And there are a few small things out there. I know Slice is one that's doing a very good job of and there's a local one in Astoria that just started, which Astoria Beer and Cheese, our sponsor, is participating in. That's basically places that are really trying to spring up to take care of our local businesses, to allow this kind of curation without taking advantage of them, keeping the fees low.
Well, I love what Ethan's talking about too, because it takes you back to kind of like a better time in the olden days when they had the milk bottles arrive at your door and you bring them back to the person, that full, same with clothing and all these things that we waste, that's really cool that you can return your takeout dish, I guess.
Yeah.
Get a new one. That's awesome.
Yeah, we used to get sodas when I was a kid. They had the soda company they'd get you a case of soda bottles, and you just put each bottle back, and they would come back the next time and take away the bottles and bring you new bottles. So yeah, it's not the craziest idea.
No,
and New York City, we're all so close, to all these things. So
yeah, I think we're gonna get back into that reusing thing is gonna take hold again. It's just tricky because I'm talking about how we go to these, we want to support our local businesses, and to be safe, many of them, the only way they were able to come back when they first started coming, well, I mean, I know some places never closed. So a lot of places in my neighborhood did, and then they reopened,
Right.
and they felt the only thing they could do to be safe was to, like, say, if you're sitting in their backyard drinking beer,
Mhm.
and they're still doing it this way, is to have a single-use plastic container for each individual beer.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
And we had composting here at our place, and I know that was becoming a thing in the city. There are a lot of places where we're going to be doing composting, and that just completely stopped. And that's been over a year now.
They had those biodegradable beer cups for a while, right?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you can make stuff from corn too. There's so much corn production that you can make plates and cups and silverware that is biodegradable. But it's so much easier just to make the plastic.
But I don't think it's all just the easier thing. I think the whole idea is we didn't have any idea just how long this was going to last.
That's true.
The idea that it's so strange that this all happened right when we got the plastic bag ban in New York State.
Right.
Like all of a sudden we had this plastic bag ban where everyone, and I'm still doing that. I'm still taking my cloth bags to the grocery store.
Sure.
And I wasn't really good about it before that whole thing happened. Once they said, you're going to be charged for these things. But I know a lot of grocery stores seem to have just, I don't know if people are just looking the other way. Like there are some grocery stores that are still really focusing on it, but other ones are like, yeah, here's a bag.
Yeah, they're not enforcing it right now for sure. And the plastic thing's kind of always been a conspiracy, right? Because it's made from oil. So it's got some huge spending money on their back. They've got the oil companies, the lobbyists, like it's an uphill battle. But we have to remember as we slowly come back to normalcy that we need to keep up the good fight.
Yeah. We'll get there.
Well, thanks to the Beer Avengers, there's more awareness out there now.
It'll be all because of us.
And Belgian Blonde for prompting our topic this week.
Indeed. Yeah. Thank you, Belgian Blonde.
No problem. My favorite topic.
So did anybody have an interesting week in beer this week?
Well, I wanted to give a shout out to one of our favorites, which is Taproom, which has gone national. They are now shipping to, I believe, 31 different states, if I'm not mistaken, something close to that.
I saw that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And so still delivering in New York, but for those of you who may be looking for more local beer opportunities, they're a great way to get, or more unique beer opportunities. They're another great opportunity to get more beers to your door from small breweries.
And as we were talking about that is how I got that Surly Coffee Brown earlier tonight from Taproom. They're doing some great stuff.
Yeah, I'd seen a little bit of Surly in the city before the lockdown. We had it on tap. The Todd the Axeman was an IPA, and
I have not seen that one.
A couple of other ones. I saw it on tap. I don't think I've seen them in cans. Now we, the Belgian Blonde and I did a little beer venging over the weekend.
Oh, very exciting!
In-person beer venging. We are vaccinated people, along with the Lager Lass and what's that other woman's name? Cider Girl.
Yes,
who's
that
the
one.
Lager Lass?
The Lager Lass is the Lager Lass. The Lager Lass lives with
lives with the Belgian Blonde.
Belgian Blonde.
Yeah. Okay.
My roommate, yes.
Mm-hmm.
We'll reveal her real name when the show's over.
On a future episode.
No, I've met her. I didn't realize she'd been officially named. Yeah.
Yes, we named her a few months ago. Yeah.
She studies coyote poop.
I mean, it's entirely possible that you named her near the end of the episode, and this is the sort of thing that happens near the end of the episode. So,
oh fuck yeah, my dude!
Oh fuck yeah, my dude! I'm surprised you haven't had a second pour yet, Huck.
That should be a soundbite.
Yeah.
Oh fuck yeah, my dude!
Oh fuck yeah, my dude!
We may have named her on Sunday. I don't.
I think I'm okay. Oh geez, I just silenced the whole room.
Well,
shock.
Well, but you guys were beer venging together. What did you have any notable?
I gotta tell you, we did have a very notable beverage.
We had one beverage that dirtied the glasses, so we.
Once you go from coyote poop to dirtying glasses, I get.
I'm hoping it was fruit. I'm just hoping this is a fruity beer. Yeah,
it was fruit. It was the even more Hydra. I had one more can.
Oh wow, yeah.
And we shared it, and it had gotten even more congealed. Like it was, I should have rolled it a little more. The bottom of the can was like clump. It was like clumped out into the glass. So we had to switch glasses. Like, okay, new glasses.
Yeah, like live life to the leaves. Like you were like kind of chewing on some fruity pulp.
We did have interesting beer. We had a couple of beers from Suarez, the smoked lager and the black lager.
I loved the smoked lager. I thought it was so just. I'd never tried anything like it.
They did make a nice smoked lager. I think I drank that on the show a month ago or so. It was called Stands to Reason.
Oh yes, you definitely did.
But the highlight was the Belgian blonde brought over an Anna from Hill Farmstead. It's a Farmstead ale.
You're always good at bringing those out.
I know. I love
delicious beer.
I love Hill Farmstead. It's my favorite.
And the date on it was like, I think it's in November 2019. It was like really aged and well aged. It tasted great. It had even like more, I don't know. We had one a few months ago, but it was tart and just effervescent. You know, it's in a bottle. So you're able to age it like that. Wow, that was great. And it was so fun to have almost a year and a half old beer that was just so delicious. Yeah, it was fantastic.
That's great.
And they must know that because I just bought it in August or whenever I was up there.
Yeah, well, the last time you were here, you had their limoncello.
Which
looked
that's
very
right.
interesting.
That's right.
Yeah.
That was another delicious
It was
one.
funny because last night I was on my family call. My sister lives in Vermont, and Hill Farmstead came up in conversation. And I was just like, yeah, when did we have that? Oh, yeah, it was when Belgian Blonde was here before.
Oh, it's such a beautiful area. And they have a couple of beers I randomly picked up. Were both named after my family, my sister Anna and my grandmother Florence.
Oh.
But everything I had from there was delicious. I mean, it's an awesome setting. Worth the trip for sure.
And they recently, Sean Hill, he made shot a volley across the bow at breweries that add all this they're putting marshmallows and all that stuff in their beers. And Yeppe had a response. Yeppe from Evil Twin had like a look. Why wouldn't we try that? You know, why do you have to be? You know, I don't remember the exact.
Haters gonna hate.
It was a little bit of a feud, you know, that Sean Hill thinks you just should have this beer purity. And
well, Sean don't make those beers. Yeppe will.
He doesn't make them, so don't make them. Yeah,
there's room for everyone. You know, that's the thing.
Exactly.
It's like I don't like. I'm not inclined toward drinking Budweiser, but if people want to drink those, enjoy them.
Yeah, makes you happy. Yeah,
they're all on the same team. Just get along.
Yeah, this shouldn't be these
we all just get along.
Yeah.
But I know Yeppe is very sensitive. He's always on Instagram, and if anybody says anything negative in the comments, he blows it up and says, and has to respond to it.
Well, you know, the thing is, the alternate name for Evil Twin, if he didn't have a twin brother, could have just been Loki Beer because he's just the trickster.
That's right. Yeah,
he just wants to fuck with people.
What's great about them is though they also make very good traditional beers. Like their lagers are just right on. In oak aged pilsners and that kind of thing. They're very good at that as well. So it's like it's kind of like Jimi Hendrix when he's like, oh, all you do is this showing off and noodling, and you couldn't play this. And he says, well, you mean like some jazz guitar, you know? And he just says, yeah, I can do that too, pal.
Well, then that's the thing is like you have to learn how to color inside the lines before you learn to color outside the lines. And once
very good.
I mean, isn't it like you can't just like say, oh, I'm just going to be my own thing. I'm like, okay, I have to learn what the rules are before I learn really how to break them.
Right on.
But sometimes when we break them, the best products come from it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but this is kind of a weekend beer thing, but also a weekend what we were talking about last week, and there's a little bit of a weekend beer thing. I would be neglectful if I didn't talk about my vaccination experience.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Because it was such a big part of last week's show. I feel people, if they're, you know, if you're listening for the first time, I'm sorry if you need to get caught up. Go back and listen to the other one, or don't, because this is a small part of this week's show. But actually, you should though. You should listen
to all of them.
Anyone who's listening should listen to all of them because
clearly.
So our neediness for love gets satisfied to some degree before we say, well, why aren't more of you listening? Anyway, so I announced on last week's show that I had just gotten approved. I just gotten eligible for the vaccine, and on Thursday night I went out to Citi Field to get my first dose.
Yay!
It was my first time on the train for over a year, and it was not a good time to be on the train for my first time in over a year. It was way too crowded.
Yeah,
it was freaking me out a little bit.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to be late, so I'm like, deal with this. And as soon as I got in there, it was the only time I've ever double masked. Like I got in there and I had an extra mask in my pocket and put it over the first one, and I got there, and I think this is a nationwide thing. So if anyone is listening to this who's going out for their first vaccination, you might see something on there that says, "Do not show up more than 5 minutes before your time."
It was 15 minutes for me.
Okay. And they will tell you that we do not have any holding area.
Right.
That's a one-size-fits-all thing, because when I went out there, it was about 10, 15 minutes after I got off the train to get there, through a lot of empty space and a lot of like benches. So if I actually did get there too early, I could say, "Hey, I'm going to go hang out over here and I'll be back in a half an hour." And
you could have gone to the Queen. Could have gone hang out at the Queen Zoo.
Well, that would have been a separate ride. So, but it was a lovely idea. But at that point, when you only have a half an hour, it's not really ideal. But I like the way you think there. Are they open right now?
They're right next to Citi Field.
They're right next to it, or there are a couple more?
Yeah, it's a little further.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's the same subway stop.
Yeah, you just have to go the other direction.
Okay,
okay,
but my larger point is
one of us works
that
there.
if you get there, you don't have to worry about your crowding anyone if you're going to that particular location. But I got there and I said, "Hey, I'm a half hour early. Should I go away?" I said, "No, come on in." I was actually finished with everything, including my 15-minute wait period, 20 minutes before my appointment time.
That's fantastic.
Everyone was great. Everyone was friendly. Everyone was patient. Everyone was indulging a need I didn't even know I had to have chit chat. It was just when I was sitting there, waiting, and the person came to give me my part 2. She was just very nice and talking and trying to engage me in conversations. Like this, wow, this is a new experience. It feels like after a year of what we've had, being in the same room with someone and we're just talking, and it's great. And I went home and I had a couple of beers, and I found that one of the most things that I noticed is any effect from vaccine number 1 was those 2 beers hit me harder than they ordinarily would.
Well,
it was just like
So
I had 2
pulse
beers
there.
and I got up to go take out the garbage. I'm like, I should not be this stumbly right now. And then the next day I had a little bit of sore arm, like everyone has.
right.
I know I'm in for something horrible for part 2, but I'm ready for it.
Maybe not necessarily.
Yeah, the Pfizer is supposed to be a little easier on the second one, and I think that's what you got, right?
So that's I did get Pfizer, and also that's part of how it does fit into my weekend beer because of that, but also because on my way back from getting the shot, I saw what was left of the McKellar Brewery.
Oh
yeah.
There.
Pour one out.
Their sign is still there, so I took a. I think you'll see it. I think it's on our either on our Instagram feed, either the Beer Vengers or Captain Porter Brown Stout, where I took a picture with the sticker in front of the McKellar sign because it was like, I remember coming here. I guess we're not doing that again.
Sad.
It's a good photo.
Oh, thanks. But so that's how that fits into my weekend beer. It was the actual. If anyone listening to this is so specific that they're going to the same location, it's McKellar, and then a little further, and that's where the place to go. So there's lots of signs. But I'm really glad I'm halfway there, and looking forward to the rest.
Congratulations!
Thank you.
One step closer.
Anything else? Any other business anyone else wants to bring up? This has been wonderful.
Yeah, this is a good show. What's on the agenda next week?
I don't know. I got to talk to you guys about that. I know you're dealing with your depression issues. I'm starting to deal with anxiety issues, and we had to figure out where those meet. But
if you want Magpie back, just let me know because she made a brief appearance, but she wants to come back. The cat.
Yeah.
Well, she's invited back anytime.
Guest.
And I'll be honest, Belgian Blonde, you're invited back anytime.
Come back anytime.
Thank you. I would love to come back
anytime.
much
Oh
fun.
wait, I forgot to do the hookups.
Oh, the hookups.
We need the hookups, yeah.
Real quick, I know you said the Stouts Brewery is in Adamstown, Pennsylvania.
Yes,
okay.
you're
You
absolutely
had told
right.
me
about
it was
that.
in a different town.
I said Stroudsburg. I don't know what the fuck where my brain was. It's
that's what hookups are all about.
but there was yeah.
But we did great on the whole sour beer
Oh, good.
conversation.
Cool.
Really got all that the Beer Wonder's knowledge. And the Beer Wonder said something about himself that I really have to take issue with.
What?
And I think it was accidental, but we were talking about your cultural deficits. And you don't have cultural deficits. You're more cultural than all of us, probably. And so what we wanted to say was your pop culture.
Pop culture. Fair enough. I will take pop culture. Yes, pop culture is where the deficit
You're
is.
a very cultural man.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
You're a Renaissance man.
Renaissance. Thank you.
There you go. That's it. So that was good hookups. And just really one thing.
It was funny. I actually tried to look up and see where there were breweries in Stroudsburg, and I think I found something, and I've forgotten what that is. Oh, I think it was the deal was that the beer that you had last week, the Abomination from Connecticut. You know,
I had
Abomination beer.
No, it was Counterweight.
Oh, okay. Well, but we were talking about Abomination beer.
Yes, you had one.
I had one, and but apparently their roots are in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania.
Oh well, hello. Hello, take it off the Connecticut list.
No, they're brewing in Connecticut,
and I've got more Connecticut coming up. We're going to keep up.
They're brewing in Connecticut, but they started in Stroudsburg.
Okay.
Have you guys hit the Two Roads yet?
Two Roads?
Not yet.
No,
it's maybe in an upcoming episode.
One of the reasons we decided to do this thing is because that there is no end to new beers.
That's right.
That by having new beers every week with little repeats. We've talked about how we could change that on occasion. But having no repeats, we're only scratching a modicum of the surface.
Oh yeah,
of what there is out there. So, so if anyone is listening right now, and you have a brewery you want us to try or a beer you want us to try, let us know. You can reach us on the social medias at the Beer Vengers. And that's at Instagram, that's at Facebook, that's on Twitter, all three of those. You can email us at thebeervengers@gmail.com. If you want to indulge in any of our streaming endeavors, our pour picks, our archived blog posts, thebeervengers.com, it's all there. Yeah. Am I leaving anything out? Is it we're also on YouTube, and we're looking at other places we can be in, and
haven't started a TikTok
you're
yet,
listening.
but
no, but is that something we can do? If we can figure that out, go ahead and we can
get a TikTok going.
Sure.
There's a lot of beer talk, BEERTOK.
Well, then let's get that going. All right, yeah. So thanks everyone for listening. Thank you again, Belgian Blonde. As we said already, come back anytime. And
thank you so much for having me.
And Huck, I guess it's time to. I don't want to say goodbye, but I guess it's time to play us out.
Got to do it. All right, guys. See you next week. Thanks, everybody. Oh, we're the Beer Vengers, Beer Vengers, Beer Vengers. We're the Beer Vengers.